Well, we find ourselves at Promontory, Utah.
Yes.
The events of the week are just so crazy. But we're up here watching them reenact the Golden Spike. But we want to take you guys back to the train chase.
Yes.
Across Wyoming,
Oh
where we left our story off. When last we spoke, the train was in Wyoming, heading for Evanston, and because they've been working on the tracks, the train was going to be laid over for 2 days at Evanston, and in fact had to travel through the night.
Yes.
At Evanston in order to get there first thing in the morning. So let's pick up the chase there. So after running through the night, the train hit first light at Granger, Wyoming.
Wow.
Just as the sun was coming up with that cold, moist air. Well, we had set up here to get a big, spectacular run-by, and about an hour late, the train came creeping in here. They'd had some clearance problems with some of the new fill and riprap that the track crews had been putting out, and they were suspicious that they were going to have some clearance problems in here, so they just were creeping through. So a lot of people set up here for a run-by. No run-by.
Well, at least this gave us a chance to get a good look at the locomotive and what's been accomplished here.
Yeah, boy, Ed and the guys have just, it's indescribable, the beautiful work that they've done to this locomotive.
I can sure tell that this is Wyoming, the almost wide open prairie look.
And to see these locomotives set in this environment, their native environment, if you will, it's just spectacular. You know, this is virtually a brand new locomotive at this point. I mean, the original castings are all still there, but every moving part, every part that might have worn back in the day has been replaced. And it is virtually a brand new locomotive, one of the great locomotive restorations ever accomplished.
It's amazing how many thousands and thousands of people have come to see this big boy.
Yeah. The big boy's getting all the attention.
What in the world noise is coming out of the 844?
Boy, it's kind of a sad wail, isn't it? I guess it's the old saying that if you're not the lead dog, the view never changes. But 844s used to be in the star, the king of the rails, and nobody's paying any attention to the poor thing. It's just back there behind the 4014, and everybody's getting pictures of the big boy and talking about the big boy, and poor little 844. I shouldn't say little. But it's so forlorn just sitting back there.
Ah, the brand new wine of Wyoming.
That's not my favorite wine, I'll tell you. Poor thing. Hang in there. I had a little talk with 844, and I said, trust me, everyone still loves you. I know there's someone new in the family, but we still love you just the same. And herein lies the problem, and what brought them to a stop. All of this fill was added over the last 24 hours, and while it might clear, an SD 75-4 modification T, I don't know anything about modern diesels, but it won't clear the world's largest steam engine. And after trying to clear it by hand, they realized that they better call in the guys who jammed up the track in the first place, who have the equipment. And they were actually stuck here for, about an hour?
Oh, something like that.
Maybe more, getting these rocks off of the track. It always works out this way, doesn't it?
It seems to.
Just when you have a great big huge event planned for years and years and years, it happens to line up perfectly with when the railroad has scheduled replacing thousands and thousands of ties and redoing a lot of the fill. So I guess problems like this were sort of inevitable. But that's the reason they had these guys running through the night, was just to work around the work schedule. So, and it's also the reason once they get into Evanston, which is only about a quarter of a mile from here, they're going to be parked on the siding for 48 hours.
You know, and they say it's not on public display.
Yeah, 48 hours, and they're planning to hide this.
How?
So I think they will be putting up with people coming around and sort of looking at the locomotive, but technically speaking, it's going to be in the siding and not accessible to the public for the next 48 hours. But then it's going to proceed down Echo Canyon. Oh my gosh, that's the most beautiful part of this whole run. And true to their word, they put the locomotive in a siding right next to the active main, but they were also letting people come over here. As long as they stayed back from the main line, they had security here to make sure nobody got killed. Now, we were here last week with the show, showing you guys the really cool work that they've been doing at the Evanston Roundhouse. And some people mistakenly thought that they were taking the locomotive over to the Roundhouse, which of course would be impossible. It's still under construction. But because they were letting people right up to the engine, it gave us a chance to really look over the incredible work that Ed and the guys have done on this locomotive. How's it going? All's well. I've been trying to figure out when you sleep. As near as I can tell, never.
It looks like everything is brand new.
You know, and it virtually is. All these kind of tan lines, there's thousands of feet of new lubrication lines running through here, and they're a cloth-wrapped copper line. You never get a chance to see this on a regular working locomotive, but it really stands out on this brand new restoration like this. But everything is perfect. Everything is new. Everything is fresh machined. It's just unbelievable. It looks exactly like it did the day it rolled out of the factory.
Not only is this the best restoration I've ever seen, but it's on the biggest locomotive ever.
Yeah, there are a few restorations, especially in, say, Great Britain, that are perhaps on this caliber. But, well, nobody's ever restored anything this big before because nothing was ever built, you know, that was as big as this. There are a few other giant locomotives, but this one is generally heralded as the biggest steam locomotive that was ever built. And just think, it was only like a week ago that they put the pistons in it.
That is just crazy. They could do it that fast.
It's just unbelievable how they've got this thing ready for the event.
Is that normal to have all that oil leaking out?
Well, yes, it is. It's like a B-25 in that respect. You don't worry when it's leaking oil. You worry when it stops leaking oil. Because that means the oilers have failed. You don't normally see it like this because everything's new. Even the oil is brand new.
It's really hard to take a bad photograph of this.
Yeah, everywhere you look, it's just spectacular. Now, this is sort of fun. A lot of people were asking why they'd written Big Boy in chalk on the front of it. But that's how this locomotive got its name. It was originally called a Wasatch class locomotive when it was being designed. But when they were building the first batch of them, one of the guys working on it just climbed up there with a piece of chalk and wrote "Big Boy" across the front of the smoke box, and well, the name stuck.
Literally.
Literally. So Ed put it on there.
Looks like they brought all of the students here from North Elementary.
Yeah, all the elementaries probably. I mean, who would want to pass up an event like this? These kids will remember this their whole lives. And there are people here from all over the world. This guy here was from Japan, and we were running into people from Australia, all over Europe. Here, Ed is being interviewed by German television.
Wow.
That's just amazing. People, a lot of the people here are from all across the world. You know, I don't know how Ed is doing this. He's been running all night, and now all day he's being interviewed for television, and I have no idea when he sleeps. I have no idea how he's getting through all of this.
I kind of know how he feels, though, because we have been the same way chasing this.
No kidding. We've only gotten a few hours sleep over the last week. But with this going on, who wants to sleep?
Who can sleep?
Well, next Sunday we're going to pick up the chase where we left off here, down Echo Key. Check out this shot Karen got here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. This is the most beautiful and most photographed spot on the entire cruise. So that's all coming next week. Well, if you haven't been over to the channel, pop on over to the channel. And if you're not a subscriber, here's the great opportunity. Are we all ready for it? The blue button right there makes you a subscriber. Well, we're not sure how you found this movie on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And we will see you next Sunday as we continue with the Golden Spike festivities.
Yes. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.